what would be your goal for how much you could make off that 6 million revenue?
Yeah, if everything goes absolutely right, I can make around.
What do you think your greatest weakness is as a leader?
Sometimes I'm too nice. I don't think I fire fast enough.
How did you find that out? It's come to my attention that 74% of you guys are not subscribed. If you guys could do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button. The bigger the channel gets, the bigger guests we're going to get as well. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the video. In this video, we talk with Peter Douglas. Peter Douglas is a master at recruiting people. He definitely knows how to build a team from under him, and we're going to learn in this video the principles and the foundation blocks that Peter has used to build a 100-person sales team. We're going to talk about his goal for revenue as a team, as well as for him personally. He's an absolutely phenomenal guest to have on the podcast. It was an honor learning from him, and I can't wait to share what I learned with you guys. Welcome back to the Meet McKay Show. Today, we have the privilege of talking to Peter Douglas. Peter Douglas is one of the individuals that I get the most value from when I call him on the phone. So I figured instead of me being so selfish, I may as well call Peter and record it for y'all because he has so much valuable information that I want to bring to you guys. And selfishly, I have a lot of questions I want to ask him as well. So let's get started. Peter, thanks for being here.
Of course, man. Always a pleasure.
Awesome. So like I said, there's a ton of reasons I want to talk to you. Obviously, you're a serial entrepreneur. You've started multiple companies at this point. You are also a highly successful salesman. But one of the main reasons I want to talk to you is because you're a master at recruiting and keeping people and getting the best from individuals. That's the core reason I want to talk to you. I want to know your secret sauce about how you're getting these individuals to come work for you, do one of the hardest jobs that you can do for a summer, and then keep them inspired. So to start off, why would somebody come work for you? What makes you different from somebody else?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Actually, let's backtrack about 2 steps. Give me a 10-second overview of what you do and why it's so difficult.
Cool. So I manage a team of I manage 3 teams, about 100 individuals, and we sell door-to-door pest control.
Okay.
It's hard, man. Getting doors slammed in your face and rejected all day long.
Yep. Okay. So door-to-door pest control sales. Now, most people know that there's quite a bit of money if you do well in door-to-door sales, but it also has the stigma of burning people out quickly and people getting frustrated and just scamming companies or whatever. Has that stigma, right? So why would somebody come work for you versus another company? Not even the company, but you individually. Why are you able to recruit, like you said, over 100-person team? How did you do that?
Yeah, leadership's all about casting a vision and inspiring people. And I feel like we do that really well here. And it's not just me. I have some really good leaders that I work with that I've recruited over the years that have that vision and go out every day and they have a deep and a lasting why, right? Like if you're just knocking doors to make money, it's not going to last. But if you have a reason to for me, my first year is, man, I need to pay for college, right? Like need some money to come in the door. And if you can talk to your guys through what their whys are and what their goals are, and then just be there to support them and help them all the way through and cast that vision, then they're going to go hit it. And it's fun to watch people do that and change lives because, to be honest, a lot of the guys I work with, they're young, they haven't made, life-changing money yet. They haven't made real money yet coming out of high school, early years of college. So it's really fun to be able to help them hit their goals and make the money that they want to make to be able to accomplish things in their life. But for me, I always tell my guys, it's like money can't be your why. Like just specifically like, hey, I want to make a lot of money. That's like the worst why in the world. You can't have that. You got to have a more specific and something more deep, because on the hard days, the motivation for money will run out.
So take me through how you cast a vision with someone. So say it's your first time meeting a recruit. They have somewhat interest. How do you cast a vision?
Yeah. So, when they're being recruited, they understand the vision of, hey, it's up to them how much they want to make every day, how hard they want to work. And that's the vision that I'm trying to cast, is that, that this group that we have, it's unacceptable not to work hard. You're coming out with a group that hard work is expected. So kind of managing expectations, setting those expectations is the start of it. And then after we do get guys to commit and sign on with us, we'll have a goal setting meeting where we sit down and say, hey, let's talk about numbers. What do you want to accomplish? And then let's talk about, your why. Why do you want to do it? So it's a one-on-one meeting that we sit down and have with these guys before they even knock a door, right? And it needs to happen, or else, they're going to get out there and not be able to finish what they started.
Mm-hmm. So I'm still a little in terms of casting a vision, I feel like there's more to it than that. I want to know your secret. How do you get somebody to get to sign? Like, what is that vision that you're casting?
Cool. Just an opportunity where they can go out and make life-changing money and have life-changing experiences. So that vision is this: our average rep makes $30,000, so they can come out with us and become financially free, and not financially free, but start making good money in a matter of 3 or 4 months. It's number one. The second thing is really the skills that they learn. And so the vision is, hey, you come out with us, you make good money. Number one. Number two, you come out and you learn leadership principles, you learn sales principles that are transferable. I mean, we think about sales and the need for that in the marketplace, and how companies, need high producing revenue salesmen. And if we can teach people how to do that and kind of give them a boot camp of sales in 3 to 4 weeks, we cast that vision of, hey, you're going to understand and know sales, and be able to step into different roles and things like that. So casting a vision of, hey, there's opportunity here to become a great salesman, hit your goals, and to learn the skill sets that you need that will help you further down life and grow as a person. Cast the vision of stepping out of the comfort zone. When you step out of the comfort zone, the only thing that happens is you grow or you quit. And so that's a big thing that we cast as well. It's like, yeah, like, come out with us and you're going to see that growth.
So you cast a vision. Now, you cast a vision for these individuals. I imagine that you have to have a vision yourself. What's your vision?
Man, I feel like pest control and the company that I'm at is in like a hyper growth mode. And so I kind of am too. It's like, grow this thing as much as I can within the next 3 to 5 years, and have, build this thing up to 1,000 reps where I'm working with and managing multiple teams. So that's my vision, is to just keep growing this thing, keep dumping into it, and see where it takes us. I see the value in the pest control industry, see the value in what my company Hawks is doing. And yeah, I just plan to keep dumping into it and growing there, because man, there's like I said earlier, like the amount of sales skills that you can learn doing this, and for me now, it's like leadership.
If you guys want to learn how I ended up sitting right here working for Meet Kevin and for HouseHack, definitely check the courses linked down below. Those courses are the reason that I'm sitting here. I personally have taken them. They are extremely valuable. One, on learning how to invest into real estate. Two, on the psychology of money. And three, my personal favorite is how to build a YouTube channel. That one is one of my favorite courses. And I'll tell you guys what, if you guys are watching this, I will give you an extra special discount. Just go ahead and email me at mckay@meetkevin.com for a special discount on Meet Kevin's courses on building your wealth. I'll be happy to help you out. Enjoy the podcast.
Leadership. I'm learning how to lead a team of, group of 100 people. And there's been so many things I've taken away. So my vision is to continue to do that, continue to learn, continue to grow with this company, and, and make as much money as I can in the process. And money just comes, when you're going all in on something, and when you're working hard and really investing into these people and investing into yourself, the money comes.
Okay. And so let's shift gears a little bit. Who do you draw inspiration from in the business world? Who is somebody that you want to be like, or somebody that has attributes that you are striving to have?
Wow. Yeah. A couple individuals come to mind. One of the guys that sorry, ask that question again. Who I draw what from?
Who inspiration or attributes that you want to have?
Okay. Inspiration, Alex Ramosi. Lots of inspiration from that guy. Love his content, from a sales perspective and from an entrepreneurship perspective. And so his podcast, it's been life-changing for me, listening to him and kind of how simple he can make sales and business sound. And so that's something that I love. As far as like attributes and a guy that I really like, there's a guy here in Utah, his name's Casey Baugh. Came from the door-to-door space, worked with Vivint for a long time, and has now started like a real estate fund and things like that. And he just has like kind of a lifestyle that I'm kind of shooting after. Just really good family man, but still is involved with the door-to-door space and still is involved with it, super involved with investing because that's really his thing now as he has that. So it's another guy. He doesn't have his own podcast, but he'll get on a lot of other podcasts, and he has a morning planning routine that I've kind of implemented in my life, and a Sunday planning routine that's kind of I've implemented that I really like, and just kind of has a life that motivates me and kind of shows me, hey, what can it look like when I'm in my 30s? He's in his
Mhm.
30s now and went through the same grind that I am going through now. Helped grew Vivint Smart Home into what it is, and help IPO that company. And so, it's just cool to see what this type of work can turn into.
Very cool. So I talk to a lot of people every day. Not as I've had more difficulty scheduling time with you than just about anybody else. It is very difficult to get your time, right? It's obviously very
Yeah.
valuable. You're managing 100 recruits, you're running your own side of the business, lots going on. You said that you've adopted a morning planning routine and a Sunday planning routine. And the reason I trust that you're actually so busy, not just telling me you're busy, is because you send me screenshots of your calendar. You're like, pick a slot. I'm like, what the heck? So how do you organize your mornings, like when your morning planning sessions and your Sunday planning sessions?
Yeah. The reality is the morning planning sessions aren't too like crazy. It's
Okay.
more my Sunday planning is what like I really enjoy and what I do. Sunday, I mean, on the daily, it's just reviewing goals and really making sure that everything's in there. Um, and then I also will write out. I don't do this every morning, but every morning I'll sit down and have some sort of a planning session. Now, depending on how much time I have is depending how long it's going to go. But I've been consistent at having that morning planning. But some mornings I'll write down a couple of questions that I do on Sundays. And the Sunday morning plan, the Sunday routine, and I can go through the Sunday one for you, just so you
Yeah,
can
do
see
it.
that what it looks like. And this is 100% inspired by Casey Baugh, who's an awesome guy. And I don't do it exactly the way he does. I've kind of pulled, different things from him. Um, so the questions that I write on a piece of paper, I write down number one, what are my roles? And I list like husband, I'm a brother, I'm a son, I'm an athlete, I'm a businessman, I'm a salesman, I'm a leader, I'm, all these things that I am, my different roles that I play. And then I write down what gets me excited, the opportunities they have in my life that get me excited. Um, and then essentially what I do is I open up my calendar and I schedule in time to fulfill all the roles that I have. You know, you call my parents, you call, spend time with my wife here. Need to make sure I'm having a meeting with this guy this week. And then those opportunities to get me excited and they make sure I'm working on them during the week. So I schedule in time to work on those opportunities, whether that's recruiting or whether that's an investment thing that I'm looking at that's getting me excited, or whether that's a business opportunity or a phone call with someone that I have coming up that week. Um, and so those things, and then it's just simple goal setting. I just write down my top 10 goals for that week, and then I implement those into my schedule too. And part of the daily planning is reviewing back what the weekly planning looked like, making sure the calendar is good to go, and then reviewing those goals every day is really the biggest thing that I do every day.
Gotcha. So you ask a question and you plan, you ask the most important questions and then you plan based off of level of priority. Does that summarize it pretty much?
Yep.
Very cool. I
Yep.
like that a lot. Instead of people, a lot of times I think it's like people put stuff on your calendar, but you prioritize what's important to you and you put that in front. So I think that's very
Yeah.
cool. What time do you plan in the mornings? Walk me through like your morning routine.
Yeah. Dude, I'm not one of those guys like super strict morning routine every day.
Okay. Gotcha.
Um, I'm gonna wake up anytime between 8 and 8:30 typically on a day.
Gotcha.
Which I know is late, dude. Like it's like, yeah, you
No,
sleep it in.
to each his own.
But yeah, and then I'm reviewing till about 9, whether I'm up at 8 or 8:30 and doing daily planning, getting ready for the day. And then I'm usually on my first call by 9:30 typically. And so yeah, there's nothing really too much to it. It's just sitting down on kitchen table or a counter and reviewing those things and then getting after it.
Side question. When you're on the
Yeah.
phone, are you walking? Are you with a pen and pad? Are you sitting still? Like, what, like, because I'm on quite a bit of phone calls too. and I can't stand sitting still when I'm on a phone call. Like, this is just a
I'm the
very
same
odd
way.
question, but what do you do on phone calls?
I pace up
Yeah.
and down. Yeah, so I mean,
Okay.
I have an office at work and I have an office in my house, but I typically am doing my calls in my living room because I can pace around the most in there.
Yeah, I can't stand sitting still. Okay,
Yeah,
so let's go back to you being a leader for a second, because, like it or not, you're obviously a leader over 100 or so individuals, and you're a manager or a boss to those people, and or you can call it leader, and then you have your leaders that demand the best from you. So when you're getting calls from your bosses like, "Hey, Peter, we got to hit these goals, we got to hit these marks," how are you demanding the best from your team? What is one of your keys to an order? Like, it's in the heat of the summer, you're not hitting numbers, guys aren't performing like they said they would, or like how you thought they would. How are you getting the best from these individuals?
that happens a lot. Good question, and something that um, is an expectation. And I feel like to break that down more, I feel like it starts way before the summer. It starts with just how I interact with these guys and the personal connection that I have with them. And being in a spot where, you know, um, we're getting, we get along and we're enjoying working with each other and we have a good relationship. So that's number one. If I have leaders that I need to call up, I don't have a good relationship. Number one, I'm going to fix that relationship, make it right so that I can have the tough conversation with them. And so it depends on what kind of numbers we're shooting for. There's a lot of different numbers that, come into the pest control game and a lot of different things that can factor into success or not. And I think it's a, continuation over time stuff too. But just just having that relationship there to be able to call them up and have a tough conversation and say, hey, this is personally what I think the issue is and what we need to change. And being able to come from a spot where, and asking the question like, hey, do I have the permission to challenge you? Do I have your permission to challenge you? Can we chat about like some of the things I'm noticing on your team and addressing those problems and going forward with that? So can be tough. If we're not hitting success, there might be a bunch of different reasons why. It might be you fire some guys on the team, might be team morale's low, might be, the area we're knocking in sucks, there's could be a million things. And so it's just diagnosing that problem, being able to have a tough conversation if it is that sometimes, and then moving forward.
Okay, so let's say I'm the team lead. I have 5 or 6 guys under me. I report to you, and my team morale is low. Walk me through the
Yeah.
conversation that you'd have with me.
Yeah, I'd just be like, hey man, questions, when you ask questions, that can, if I was, coming to you, I'd ask you a lot of questions about team morale. Okay, what's this guy doing at night? What's he doing after he's knocking? Um, how are your morning meetings? How enthusiastic are you being? Are you implementing like different breaks or hard stops in the day for these guys um, to be able to spend the personal time that they need to doing different things? And also, are you doing team activities? Like a lot of our schedule, right? We have a sales training meeting every morning, but it's different what we do every morning. Like on Wednesdays, it's a sports day, right? We don't even have our meeting is just meeting it for our meeting. We'll just go meet at a church and play basketball, or we'll meet at a baseball field and play kickball or wiffle ball. Like things like that are going to affect morale a lot. So, hey, are you doing sports days in the morning? And then we do what's called Throwdown Thursdays on Thursdays, where you go head to head competition against someone else on the team and set a prize there. And then, there's a bunch of different company incentives like that. I'd ask him, hey, are you doing these things that are important for morale? And those are some of the specific things that I'd ask him about and talk about kind of what the clicks are in this group, because ultimately, like when you have low morale, there's probably some clicks going on that are affecting that, like just groups of guys that are probably doing things they shouldn't be. And then it boils down to who's working hard, who's not. And if guys aren't working hard, then morale is going to be low. And so getting people motivated to get back on the doors and work hard consistently. And sometimes, sadly, that results in firings. If guys just aren't willing to work the schedule, the word door's brutal. You just got to fire. So,
Gotcha.
yeah, that's kind of how I do it.
Gotcha. What was the most difficult situation you were presented with as a leader last summer, and how did you handle it?
Yeah, quite a few last summer. Last summer was fun. Had some interesting guys come out and work with me last year. Probably a couple that I didn't screen well enough. Biggest issue I felt like we run into is our team started to be really cliquey. We had two big groups and kind of split into two. And I had a good relationship with both groups, but really when we were doing our team building activities, just team meetings in the morning, you could tell it was there. They sat with they sat with the same people every day. They didn't interact with the other half of the team. And ultimately it led to a point where one of the guys did something he probably shouldn't have done. And some of the guys that weren't like in his direct friend group or his clique found out about it and they wanted him fired. Um, and I was in a spot where I'm like, I don't think this guy should have been fired. Even though like he did something that probably shouldn't have done. But it didn't break any company policy or anything like that. So ultimately I decided to keep him out as the team lead. But then that other group, or specifically one individual on the team, kind of grew. I'm not super happy about that. That he was still out there after this guy had done this, and so um, that was a pretty tough situation. Just like our team was pretty clicky, and it was hard to do those team morale, those team activities when there was issues um, with that and in two groups. And so that was my biggest flaw last year is really just having this. We had a really good team, a good amount of guys, but kind of just split into two sections, and it was hard to get a lot of things done from a team building standpoint that I wanted to, fortunately.
And you began, thank you for sharing that, by the way. You began
Yeah.
sharing that experience by saying you didn't screen them as well as you should have. What
hmm
what are you what are you doing now to screen better?
Yeah. I've changed it a lot. Last year it was strictly phone call. I wasn't I wasn't doing face to face times or Zooms or Google Meet or anything like that. It was just it was just on the phone. And I was really kind of in a spot of desperation, just like I hadn't hit my recruiting goals as much as I wanted to last year, and so I was in a spot of desperation, just like hiring as much as I could, and maybe being a little quick on that, quicker than I should have been. And so, yeah, the big thing this year has been implementing those video calls, and also just being more selective, realizing that hey, like it's not about the numbers. It's more about quality over quantity in this game, right? Like don't put guys out there that you think or even have the slightest chance that aren't going to be successful. Really screen them well and making sure that they are going to find success. And there's specific attributes that I'm looking for, and if they have those, then that's who I'm putting through. And also implementing a third phone call. So last year I did two like 30-minute phone calls with an individual. I had my questions that I would go through before I hired them. This year I implemented a third one um, that allows me to get to know guys more before I onboard them. So changed it to a third call and then implemented video call and just told myself that I was going to be more strict. So that's the changes we made this year.
How big was your team last year?
Yeah, so we had a 30 signed coming out, and then ended with about 20, like 24 last year.
That's a pretty high retention rate, actually. And
Yeah.
so to kind of play devil's advocate a little bit, you are 3xing your team, right? You have over 100
hmm
recruits. And so
Yep.
you told me that you're trying to focus more on quality over quantity of recruits.
hmm
How did you maintain that standard while 3xing your level of recruits?
Yeah, being willing to say no. A guy refers a guy to me through a group chat or something, and um, there's been plenty of guys that I don't think they're good fits. Telling them, hey, yeah, no, this isn't for you. Um,
Gotcha.
but the power and the reason I guess maybe we'll get in this later, but and we can talk about this further. But the reason I was able to 3x was just because I went all in into pest control. Before I was working other jobs and on the off season, things like that. But the amount of time that I've just devoted to recruiting.
If you guys want to learn how I ended up sitting right here working for Meet Kevin and for House Hack, definitely check the courses linked down below. Those courses are the reason that I'm sitting here. I personally have taken them. They are extremely valuable. One, on learning how to invest into real estate. Two, on the psychology of money. And three, my personal favorite is how to build a YouTube channel. That one is one of my favorite courses. And I'll tell you guys what, if you guys are watching this, I will give you an extra special discount. Just go ahead and email me at mckay@meetkevin.com for a special discount on Meet Kevin's courses on building your wealth. I'll be happy to help you out. Enjoy the podcast.
Recruiting has made it easier than last year to get high numbers because I just have my goals in mind and I'm focused on those goals all day, and that's what I do. And so I've just been so determined to find the right guys and put myself in the position to find them.
What's your entry point for your funnel? How are you getting so many leads to recruit?
Yeah. Social media, I'd say, is one. We run a pretty good Instagram page, Hawks Elevate is what it's called. So Hawks Elevate brings a good amount in, and then we have a website attached to that. And so that website will draw pretty good amount of guys in, but that's not the main way. The main way we get people is by our current guys recruiting others. And so at Hawks, there's a system where, if we incentivize our guys to go out and recruit, right? So if they bring guys in, then then they get a certain reward, whether that's an override percentage or cash or just an incentive prize. And so, again, leadership is casting a vision and getting people to buy in. And so for me, it's like I cast the vision of recruiting as well really well, I feel like, and I get leaders to buy into recruit. And that's where a lot of the guys come from, is they know someone else on the team. And they're referred to me by someone else who's already on the team. And then I call them up and hold an interview process with them, hold 3 calls. And if I think they're a good fit, I hire them.
Very cool. Thanks for sharing that. You said the biggest difference between 3X and your level of recruits is you went all in this year. What's the difference that you made personally between 2022 and summer of 2023?
Yeah, there's so much power in going all in. That's what I realized. And I think there's a lot of guys that have said it.
But what
I'm
did you
so
do?
pumped.
What made you go
do?
all in? Yeah, what was the change?
What switched it?
Yeah, like
Okay.
why what's the difference between Peter 2022 versus Peter 2023 for going all in on pest control? What did you do personally?
I think and just to clarify, I went all in like right after, so it's probably September of 2022 was when I decided, hey, I'm going all in for summer 2023. And so it's been going probably since September, this mentality that I've had and some of these things I've been doing. And to be honest, it came from what I saw other people Hawks doing. And I'm not, didn't do it solely because I want to be like other people that are here. But the guy that I work directly with, so my regional manager, I'm a divisional right now, technically here at Hawks. My regional manager, his name is Blake Erickson, and he's been knocking doors and doing pest control just as long as I have. And I saw his success last year. He had 85 guys last summer, and did over 6 million in revenue between those 85 individuals. And I saw him do that, and I said, man, I can do that. And I want to do that. I want to have teams that produce 6 million in revenue. And I want to recruit 100 guys and all these things. And when I started kind of seeing that last summer and seeing what Blake was doing and kind of he was kind of showing me the ropes, I just saw the amount of money that he was making, the amount of leadership opportunities that he had, and the growth that he had in his life, and I just that was what I wanted for me. And so in September, I made that decision to not get another job when I wasn't knocking doors, but to be a recruiter for a full 8 months. And so, yeah, that was the biggest change, was just, man, I'm going to do it. I want to do it. I've seen people do it. And I've had Blake in my corner every day. He's a guy that I reach out to every day that has done it before. He's grown from 1 team to 3, 4, or 5 teams. And he's done, he's produced a ton of revenue with his teams. And so it's been cool to watch that. And it's like, I knew there's always been opportunity in pest control, and I've sold really well personally. Like I could go out and sell just alone with 0 recruits and make fantastic money, make over 6 figures every summer I do this. 6 figures every summer I do this. But, the recruiting aspect is the scalability of it. And so I saw the scale that can happen, and realized that that's where my attention needs to be. And it's been, so rewarding to be able to work with such awesome individuals and be able to scale to a point where I get to work with a lot more than I did last year.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that answered my question. So now we were texting a little bit before the show, and I asked, like, hey, how much did you make the 2022? You told me, well, how much did you make in 2022 in terms
I
of
mean,
gross revenue?
gross revenue, $210,000
Awesome.
last year.
And then your team did how much?
Yeah, we did like 1.25 million in revenue last year.
And so to make sure I have this right, that's like the gross revenue that everybody brings home, right?
Everybody sold, that much pest control. That was the total, the company brought home. Sorry.
So how much did you bring home personally at the end of the summer?
Like personal income.
Yes.
Yeah, 210,000.
Okay. And then how much did your team collectively bring home?
That's actually a number I don't know.
Okay.
But 1.25, then take their commissions across the board on that. So
Okay.
our guys averaged, I had a guy make, we guys get, I don't know exact numbers, to be honest.
No, you're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the reason I asked this is because when we were texting, I was like, what's your goal this summer in terms of like your personal sales revenue? And you're like,
yeah,
it doesn't really matter because that's not what I'm focusing on. So what,
yeah,
it sounds like to me, you've gone all in on recruiting. Tell me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like your focus is on making sure that your team performs well.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Okay. So do you think you'll actually knock doors this summer?
I will. Yeah. Just from a leadership standpoint, leading from the front is really important. And showing that like, hey, like, I've been there, I've done that. But I still am willing to do it and keep cranking. And so I don't have like a personal revenue goal for the year. Like I want to go out and be successful. I know I will, but I more just want to like do it to show these guys what it needs to look like. Lead from the front.
Gotcha. So your goal this summer is to make sure your team hits a certain level, and obviously as the team lead, you get a commission off of that, right?
Yeah.
And so collectively, you have 100 guys, right? That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? What's your goal in terms of team revenue because I know there's like team revenue of like how much pest control revenue they sell, but what's your average? What's your goal for how much you want your average guy to make, and how do you think that'll translate to you?
Yeah, they're making money. They're happy. They're staying. And having a good experience, right? I don't think it's all the time about the money, but we want to help people make as much money as possible here. For me, I want my average rookie. So there's a difference here. Your first year reps, your rookies, it's a harder time to make a lot. And so my first year reps and my rookies, I want to make sure that we're averaging $30,000 in personal earnings in the 4 months. And that's a number that's hard to achieve, but I think it's doable. Because these guys haven't done this before. Now, with my leaders, with my veteran reps, I want them to average an earnings of 50,000. And then my leaders, I want them to break 6 figures, each and every one of them. So I have about 6 key leaders that I work with every day, that are helping me lead my 3 teams, right? I can't be everywhere at once. And so these guys, I essentially split that override that I make on the team with them and give them, they make a good amount as well. And so the goal with each one of these guys, these 6 individuals, is help all of them break 6 figures this year.
Gotcha. And a question that I've always been curious about, maybe there's a difference between you and the industry. Are you transparent in the fact that it's like, hey, you're on my team, I'm going to take a cut from your sales? Is that like a very transparent thing, or is that not very talked about, kind of taboo?
It's different. It's different where I feel like year by year it's a little bit different. Sometimes some years it's like people know they're super open. Like, I guess me personally, I'm open about it if they ask. Like they know that I'm making a little cut. But here's the thing, like I worked my butt off all year without a paycheck, you know? So it's like they understand that and they understand and as long as I set expectations of like what I do and things like that, and what my leadership roles are, and they understand that, you know, I don't get paid to train them. Other leaders don't get paid to train them. And so that's just the expectation we set. It's just like, hey, we do make a little bit on the team, and I think they come in knowing that most of the time. But I don't set it super clear and say, hey, this is, you know, hey man, I'm making a little bit on the whole team, dude. You know,
Gotcha.
I don't go through and say that, but yeah, I feel like it is known, and if not, it
Yeah.
is known during the summer at some point. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that, I mean, it's totally fair to say, hey man, I'm not making money if you don't make money. So
yeah,
I think that that's a very okay expectation to, I don't know, to just be like, hey, dude, like I'm in it with you. You're not doing well. I'm not doing well. So
yeah,
I think that. So do you have a goal this summer of how much your region, so regional manager, that your region wants to do in gross revenue?
yeah. Gross revenue. So yeah, the way we measure that is just how much the company brings in from our
Okay.
sales, right? So gross revenue we want to do is 6 million, 6 million. You know, that's been the
Gotcha.
goal since day one, is to come out and do 6 million.
And so you and your team 6 million. And
Everybody
how
combined,
and how big of a summer would that be for you if you hit that 6 million goal?
it would be freaking massive.
Yeah.
It would be insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
So are
Are
you
you
talking numbers wise?
sure? Yeah. What do you think you would make off that 6 million as the leader? Because like you said, you've been
Yeah.
working your butt off for 8 months. You went all in. There's got to be, obviously, you say it's not a lot about the money, but at the end of the day, people want to make as much money as possible. And I imagine you're a very smart guy. You're very business oriented. What would be your goal for how much you could make off that 6 million revenue?
Yeah. If everything goes absolutely right, I can make around $500,000 there.
Dude, that's freaking awesome. I'm so excited to see how you're doing this summer. I'm
Yeah.
super excited. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what do you think your greatest strength is as a leader? Your greatest strength?
I think my ability just to connect to my guys, and have a relationship with them. And they understand that their best interest is my best interest, and I'm working to help them, you know, hit their goals and whatever they might want to be doing. Um, because at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. It's like it's a really hard job, and it's tough to be here sometimes, but it's tough to be knocking doors. But if you have that personal relationship with somebody who's looking out for you and ministering to you and helping you, um, then it's a lot easier. And so I feel that I register really well with these guys and have a really good relationship with them.
Great. What do you think your greatest weakness is as a leader?
Sometimes I'm too nice. I don't think I fire fast enough
How did you find that out?
last year.
Was it
Looking
with the
back, yeah,
walk me through it? When were you like, crap, like I gotta learn to be better
I
at
should have
this?
just fired that guy. It was my call last year. At the time, I didn't think it was right to fire that guy. Um, Trying to be the nice guy, you know, trying to, and the other hard part is too, it's like, man, I don't want to send this guy home if he's going to still produce revenue, right?
So he
Like,
was a good seller.
yeah, he sold well, you
That
know.
must be a really tough spot because you're sitting there like, man, I can fire a very good producer, or I can have two or if I keep him, then I'll have two or three, maybe more people unhappy that may not produce as well. So
Yeah,
why did you where was the weight of him, maybe this is hindsight, everything's 2020 hindsight,
yeah,
was the weight of him leaving, do you think that would have been more beneficial to your team as a whole and your team would have produced more than if he had left?
I do think we would have done better with him gone.
Really?
Looking back,
That it's
even as a
important to
high
realize that.
producer,
It's
yeah,
important to realize that. I think that's valuable.
yeah. So this, and the other thing that makes it tough too is, you know, if you fire someone or send somebody home, well, you lose money on them unless they like there's rent costs involved with all this too because we're relocating, right? And so there's a lot of factors as a leader that you're kind of going through your head, you know, when you make a fire. And obviously that's why screening comes is so important, right? You're not screening these guys, and you ultimately know you're going to fire them anyways. It's like don't do that to yourself because you're shooting yourself in the foot. And so I think it's at maturing as a leader and realizing like it's more important for me to, screen well and to fire early and just bite it in the butt, cut the cancer, cut the fat, and produce.
Gotcha.
Because morale
And
is everything.
yeah, I
Morale is
that
everything.
that story is super fascinating. There's so much to take from it. What's something that you wish somebody would have told you earlier that you know now?
As a leader, as like a salesman,
Anything. Could
anything.
be anything. What do you wish that somebody had told you earlier?
Um, hmm. I just to manage your expectation and don't set the expectation that you're doing everything for everyone on your teams. That's something that I wish I would have known.
If you guys want to learn how I ended up sitting right here working for Meet Kevin and for House Hack, definitely check the courses linked down below. Those courses are the reason that I'm sitting here. I personally have taken them. They are extremely valuable. One, on learning how to invest into real estate. Two, on the psychology of money. And three, my personal favorite is how to build a YouTube channel. That one is one of my favorite courses. And I'll tell you guys what, if you guys are watching this, I will give you an extra special discount. Just go ahead and email me at mckay@meetkevin.com for a special discount on Meet Kevin's courses on building your wealth. I'll be happy to help you out. Enjoy the
I
podcast.
wish I would have known earlier. Because I was trying, like last year, I felt like my mentality was do everything perfectly for these guys and make sure that they just have this perfect image of you as a leader. And I feel like I didn't set expectations with my guys that, hey, like some days I'm gonna have to stay back and not knock because I have to do this stuff. And that causes maybe a little bit of like, like they're looking at you differently, like, oh, Peter's not as a hard worker or this or that. I don't know. So just setting the right expectation with people, I think, and really like this job is so much about setting expectations and just being really, I wish, and Blake ultimately was the one that pushed this year a lot on me, is like manage expectations well. So wish I would have known earlier that, how to manage expectations and how to do it well, and if they would have told me that earlier.
What expectation?
Expectation of what I'm going to be doing for them as a leader, how I'm going to be training them, expectations of what the summer is actually going to look like. A lot of times and that's why door-to-door sales can be painted as this sometimes sketchy industry, is recruiters promise the world. They don't talk about the hard stuff when they're recruiting you, and then you get out there and it's like, man, this is hell. Like how, like what happened here. And it's all about conveying. Like I tell people, plan to not make money for 2 weeks. I say that word for word when I'm recruiting them. And I say to people, like, plan on getting rejected, cussed out, cops called. Like I just go through like the worst case scenario. And so if I can just manage expectations well, people aren't going to be going home because they already know what they signed up for.
Gotcha. Very neat. And last off, what do you think will be? How do you think you're going to be a? Let me think how I want to phrase this. What do you think will be your determining factor this year? Between hitting that $6 million team goal, $500,000 personal goal, what will be the deciding factor in you hitting that?
To narrow it down to one's tough. But I think it comes down to how well do my 6 key leaders um, honestly portray the vision of what we're trying to do and reinstill that vision every day, right? Because we have these morning meetings every day, and it just comes down to like it's a lot riding on these guys, and I'm not saying it's out of my control here. It's not. It's all in my control, 100%. And so, I just need to make sure, for me, the deciding factor is make sure that my relationship with these 6 key guys that are running my teams is really good. Make sure that
Okay.
they're motivated, and then that they're conveying the vision down to their guys. To make sure the water, getting the water to the end of the row with 100 guys is tough, right? And so
It's a lot
that
of
I feel like
coordinating.
a lot of coordinating, and there's so much logistics between this whole thing, and there's a million things going through. There's a million scenarios that I need to think through for this summer, and with the help of these 6 guys, if we can get the water to the end of the row, set expectations, manage expectations, and keep the vision there and keep these guys' goals and whys and reinstate them continuously, then I think we'll get it. So those are some of the things
Gotcha.
that go through my head. It's hard to say one, but
No,
yeah, that's kind of a
and
list.
before we started recording, I can't remember the exact question I asked, but it was something along with like, how are you doing? And you said like stressed and anxious.
Yeah.
Um, what, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your stress and anxiety level right now?
Right now, I mean, I don't know. I'm stressed and anxious, but I'm okay too. It's
Okay.
not like I'm crazy. I'd say, 5, to be
Okay.
honest.
And
It's not,
what do you think it'll be during the summer?
during the summer will probably be 7 or 8. 7 on most days, 8 on other days.
What are you doing to manage your stress and anxiety? I'm not talking like stress and anxiety as in like you're in a bad place mentally. I think stress and anxiety
Yeah.
comes from pushing yourself to do things that you've never done. And so I actually don't view it as a negative thing. I view it as you're challenging yourself. And
Yeah.
so with that kind of context, what are you doing to manage your stress and anxiety?
Man, I feel like, and that's a great way to talk about stress and anxiety. And I agree with you. It's not a byproduct of bad things. It's a byproduct of you doing things that stretch you.
Yeah.
And so my wife is a huge help for me. Being able to spend quality time with her every day really helps me lower my stress and anxiety. And then also getting some sort of workout in every day is a good way to manage that stress and anxiety. And then just having people I can call and say, like, man, I don't want to talk about pest control right now. Let's just chat about life. So my parents, I call my parents a lot still. They're a huge help in my life. My dad's an awesome mentor for me from a business perspective and just life. And my mom's just the best. So, calling them and just saying, like, they'll ask how my day was, but they're not going to dive too deep on my, numbers and pest control and how many accounts my guys sold today, and that's nice. And my wife too. It's like, she knows when I come home from a long day of work or during the summer, it's like, man, I don't really want to talk too much about pest control. I just want to talk about you and things like that. So it allows me to have, I don't know, I kind of view it as a board of mentors in my life. And there's other people too, that I reach out to and when I need to reset. And just when I'm not knocking and when I'm not on calls, it's just and it's at night. It's just not focusing on it and just trying to keep my head clear and get in a good headspace and keep work at work and keep family at home.
Yeah, how do you do that? I find that so difficult where it's like I'm sitting on the couch, I get a phone call. Like it's Saturday, I'm watching college football, I get a phone call. Do you just say like, hey, I'm not available from this time to this time? Or are you always available? How do you separate your personal, like I'm not working time to like, all right, I'm working, I'm available? Do you separate
Yeah,
them? Do you like go on do not disturb? Like how do you separate your work life and your personal life? Because it sounds pretty separate from what I can hear.
yeah. During the recruiting season and right now, I keep it really like expectations are set where it's like I have a Calendly, and guys can go book calls with me throughout my day. And just when there's no spots on the Calendly, they know like, hey, you can't book spots. So anytime after 6, I try to be 5 or 6. I try to be done with my work for the day. Um, and I'll take calls on occasion, but they know Saturdays and Sundays I'm not. So Saturdays and Sundays I just don't take calls. But during the summer, it's really hard. Like you can't take Saturdays and Sundays during the summer. Like my phone just lights up and I gotta take it. Even on Sundays, right? There's like a morale issue or like something's wrong there's problems on Sundays even. There's problems on Saturdays. Saturdays we knock. So it's like during the summer, there really isn't that time. I just, whatever time I have, I'm just trying to like enjoy it. And then, when the phone call comes, I'm taking it. So during the summer, it's
Gotcha.
really difficult.
Yeah, understandably so. Peter, you're awesome. I think you're great,
Thanks,
and
man.
there's a reason I had you on the show because I selfishly wanted to talk to you and learn as much as you can. Um, we're ramping up our company a lot here, and we're starting to hire a
Yeah.
lot more, and have to learn how to demand for excellence from individuals and manage expectations. And you helped me you helped me a lot with that today. So I appreciate your
Cool.
time coming on here and teaching me just how to work with people. I didn't have to work with a team for almost a year, and now we're a quickly growing team, and I'm trying to learn how to demand and how to do so in a loving way. And to me, something that you really honed in on was having a personal connection, just saying, hey, you all right if I challenge you really quick? That
Yeah,
question was probably my biggest takeaway. So
cool.
thank you for sharing that. I get a lot of value from you, and I hope that people watching this get value from it as well. And if you haven't yet, if you enjoyed this conversation with Peter Douglas, go ahead and hit subscribe. Peter, where can people find you? If they want to talk to you, if they want to come out and sell for you, where can they come find you?
Yeah, find me on Instagram. Um, my Instagram is just Peter Douglas 32. You can find me there. And then if you want to, we also have our team's Instagram is Hawks Elevate, just spelled
Gotcha.
together on Instagram. So either one of those.
And what would you say if somebody's on the fence right now, if they don't have a lot of plans this summer, and to book that very first call with you to see if it's a fit for them, what would you say?
They just freaking do it. It's sales is summer sales, and just coming out and trying to sell pest control is an awesome opportunity. It's so fun to be able to grow as a person, but also challenge yourself and try to make a good amount of money during the summer. So yeah,
Awesome. Well, you guys heard it from the man yourself. If you guys want to get in contact with Peter, follow him on Instagram, hit him up in the DMs. If you want to talk to him, hit me up in the comments, and we'll get something set up. But that's it for this show, and this episode. I appreciate your time, Peter. Thank you very much.
thank you, dude. It's a pleasure.
If you guys enjoyed this podcast, go ahead and hit subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. And the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests we're going to get as well. Thanks for subscribing. If you guys want to learn how I ended up sitting right here working for Meet Kevin and for HouseHack, definitely check the courses linked down below. Those courses are the reason that I'm sitting here. I personally have taken them. They are extremely valuable. One, on learning how to invest into real estate. Two, on the psychology of money. And three, my personal favorite is how to build a YouTube channel. That one is one of my favorite courses. And I'll tell you guys what, if you guys are watching this, I will give you an extra special discount. Just go ahead and email me at mckay@meetkevin.com for a special discount on Meet Kevin's courses on building your wealth. I'll be happy to help you out. Enjoy the podcast.